So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I hope everyone came away energized from the great session last. I really enjoyed the panel discussion, especially. So my name is Carlos Blanco. I just finished my MBA at Saïd Business School at the University of Oxford, and I'm really excited to host our session today, which is with ENEL. So ENEL is a global electric utility and power generator. ENEL operates in more than 30 countries and is the largest private network operator in the world, the largest player in renewables by installed capacity, and has the largest retail customer base worldwide. So they're an important player in the energy transition. More importantly for us, ENEL has been at the forefront at the charge to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals and to accelerate the energy transition, both of which are central to ENEL's current strategic plan, which I'm sure Ernesto will tell us more about. But the focus of today is ENEL's commitment to creating shared value and their unique open innovability, which is open innovation and sustainability approach. And I'm really excited to introduce our guest, Ernesto Chiora, who is the Chief Innovability Officer at ENEL, to tell us about their story. So I'll quickly introduce Ernesto and then give a brief outline of how the session will work. So Ernesto has a long career in innovation. Before ENEL, which he started at in 2014, Ernesto worked with leading firms around the world as a partner at consulting firm Busacca and Associati, and then his own firm, Ars et Inventio. Ernesto is also deeply involved in academia, having taught innovation management in Italy and Spain. He is a member of the advisory board of the Master in Innovation Strategy at Ca' Foscari University of Venice, and a director of the Advanced Innovation Management program at the IE Business School in Madrid. And being Italian, of course, he is also the author of 3 collections of poems and a play that has been performed in a number of Italian theaters. But before I pass over to Ernesto, I just want to give a brief overview of how the session will work. Ernesto will present for 20 to 30 minutes. During that time, please submit any questions that you have through the Q&A function in Zoom. We will have people working behind the scenes who will collate those questions, which I will then ask Ernesto during the Q&A part of the session, which will go for 30 to 40 minutes, depending on how long the initial presentation goes. So with that note, I'll pass over to Ernesto. So Ernesto, the web camera is all yours.
Thank you very much, Carlos. Thanks, everybody, for joining this session. My name is Ernesto, and thanks for your introduction. And I'm here to talk about open innovability. It's a new concept. It's that summarizes innovation plus sustainability. Let's take a look at this very fast presentation. I will not use many slides, and I will not try to bother you with many words and concepts, but simple concepts that could be, I hope, useful for you. Innovation plus sustainability means innovability. We have merged these 2 concepts into a new one, but it's very hard for us to distinguish innovation and sustainability. What is the relationship between them? The real aim of the company is to survive. So the real aim of the company is to be sustainable. So sustainability is probably the most important function and activity in a company. The finance, the marketing, and the other ones, the HR, they are tools to make the company more sustainable. So the innovation is just one of the tools, because if we don't change, we can't survive. Innovation is fundamental prerequisite to change. Every 20 days, we change the whole skin of us. Every 2 hours, we change the skin of our lips. And every more or less 15 years, we change the 99% of our cells. So I'm 49. So I died and I've born 3 times. Because in nature, we are used to change ourselves to survive. This is called apoptosis, the continuous change of ourselves to survive. But are companies able to change themselves to survive? Are companies able to change themselves in line in harmony with the rest of the world in which they are and live. When we change ourselves, we get we make it in harmony with the temperature, with the pressure, and with the atmosphere in which we operate. But companies are programming their deaths and rebirths in harmony with the communities, with the environment, with the stakeholders, and with the societies in which they operate. Unfortunately, not always it happens. So try to find a cultural a cultural definition that we have adopted. The difference between development and progress. It's very important, and it comes from Pier Paolo Pasolini, a writer, a poet, a movie director, very important in the evolution of the culture of the European society. He distinguished development that focuses on increasing economic indicators, while progress involves improving overall social conditions and quality of life, environmental conditions, and the cultural context. So we are focused on sustainable progress. We are not focused on making money only, because we think that if you focus only on making money, you will not make money in the future. You will not be sustainable. You will not survive. This is our purpose, the reason for which we work every day, the reason that motivates us every day. We want to create a brighter future for the communities and the societies where we operate, empowering sustainable progress. There is not culture, environment, and the society are not opposed to business. For us, they are part of how to make business. If we understand that there is a big problem, that there is a big goal that the humanity is looking at, there is a big opportunity to make money. There is a big opportunity to create business. There is a big opportunity to address a new value chain or a potential source of business that is a potential source of a new business model able to make the humanity better. I give you some real examples because I don't want to talk about theory. This is how we work. On the left side, you see a picture with me, a person, Andrea De Palo, on a wheelchair, his father, and a friend of him. He wrote to me proposing an amazing idea. Why don't you use the charging station that you use to recharge electric cars to provide electricity to recharge electric wheelchairs? This was an idea. It came from a problem that he had every day. He couldn't recharge his electric wheelchair. So coming from a problem that is a social problem, a problem that is common to millions of people, we work with him. We work with him, and in the center of this picture, you see a colleague of us working in our labs with Andrea De Palo and with a big association of disabled people in Italy, trying to understand how to make this come true, how to switch from an idea to a real product. On the left of this picture, you see the photo that we got at the CES, Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas, where we launched into the market the first worldwide device to recharge an electric wheelchair in every infrastructure to recharge electric cars. Thanks to ENEL, now disabled people who use wheelchairs can recharge their electric wheelchairs in every infrastructure where people usually recharge electric cars. So this is innovation. Yes, we did in technical labs. This is sustainability. For us, it's sustainability. It's a way to better include people using wheelchairs in our cities. They can move with an extended range, and thanks to us, they can do it more comfortable, in a more comfortable way. Be sure that they can recharge their electric wheelchairs. Is this sustainability or innovation? This is what we call innovability, with a real example, better in the world, creating new sources of business, leveraging our assets, our knowledge, listening to people outside the company. We must be humble and humble and humble, as we are hungry and hungry and hungry to make a lot of things come through. Being humble means that we must listen to people outside the company. We have collected more than 10,000 ideas from more than 100 countries, getting a lot of insights and proposals and ideas that we implemented into new products, new services that helped us to get economic successes, but much more important, a lot of improvements to the life of people. And we have worked with startups. We have scouted more than 7,000 startups. This is being open in the last 5 years, implementing more than 700 projects with startups from all around the world. We have worked being open and humble to cooperate with them to make the world a little bit better. I give you another real example. Fabio, now Bosatelli, is 20 years old now. He has 2 degrees, construction engineering and business management. He is a great person. He's a great manager, and he has a particular feature. He's deaf. He is officially recognized as disabled by the Italian Public Welfare Authority. He came to me a couple of years ago saying, okay, I have 2 degrees, but unfortunately, I cannot join a video conference. Fabio couldn't listen to us now because usually he recognizes what people say, watching them, and recognizing the words, reading the lips. But during a video conference, this is impossible. So he said, I'm out of the business. I'm out of video conferences, and in a multinational company as ENEL is, I'm out of it. I have not the real chance to have a career. And I'm very sad for this. And I said, okay, I replied to him saying, what can we do for you? Let's work together to find a solution. And we work together. We work with our tech people, with our digital people. We found a startup. And thanks to this startup, Fabio started joining video conferences because he was able to receive texts of what people were saying during the video conferences, and he was able to understand everything, reading just the texts on the mobile phone. And when he is able to speak with some difficulties, but he's able to speak, but for other people who are not able to speak, they can write a message, and this message becomes a speech that could be listened by other participants. So we use this technology to better serve deaf people who are customers of us in Italy, in Spain, and in other countries. So now deaf people can talk to our call center agents if they're able to speak, or they can talk writing messages and receiving messages, but having a natural conversation with our call center agents, because our call center agents, they speak and they listen voices. And it doesn't matter if the deaf person cannot speak because he can write a message, or he cannot read, at least hear, because they can read a message. This is a way to include Fabio. This is a way to include millions of our customers who have problems when they have to hear. And this is a better way to provide value and to create value for our company. Why I'm showing to you this picture? This is because we have an international program to use drones in our infrastructures. It's very important. We have more than 70 people working only on this. How to use drones, how to use robots to monitor our infrastructures. During pandemic time, we were able to monitor our infrastructures even if our people were in lockdown, because every day, hundreds of drones, submarine drones, land drones, air drones, were able to monitor and manage our infrastructures. And do you know who is the global head of this innovation program with more than 70 people involved to use robots and drones? The global head is Fabio. He is the global head of Robust, that is the drone and robots program that we have at global level. And he is the leader. He's the boss of this program. Without the technology that we have implemented before, a couple of years ago, to include him, he couldn't be the leader. And he couldn't work during the lockdown period. Now he's a manager. And he's a manager with an important career in front of him. We have created a career path because we wanted to include him and the other deaf people. And he is an important resource for the company, an important person for ENEL. He said, I have to thank technology for how much it has improved. I would be living in a very different life if I were born a decade earlier. It's true. But is there innovation? Yes, we use technology. We use digital solutions to include him. Is this sustainability? Yes. It's an important way to include people with a disability, and it was an important way to create a better future for him and for the other talented people working for ENEL. And it's an important way to create value for deaf people who are customers and for their families. This is a way to create value. This is not the social aims and business aims are fully aligned. Solving a problem, you can create value. Solving a social problem, you can create an economic value too. Here you can see 3 photos. The one on the left is our CEO trying an exoskeleton in a Silicon Valley startup. I took this picture, and in the middle of the screen there is an employee of ENEL working in Spain, implementing a new plant using an exoskeleton. And on the right side, you see a colleague of us testing different solutions of exoskeleton to choose the right one for the different use cases that we have. We are using these technologies to increase the safety of our people. Safety is part of the sustainability. It's very important. We usually say that safety first. Safety first before the business, in every business review, before we check the safety results and after we take a look at the financial results. The non-financial indexes are more important than the financial ones because they create the prerequisite of the financial ones. And unfortunately, for many years, analysts were only looking at the financial indexes. But we think, and we were fully committed on improving them both. Exoskeletons are another real proof that innovation is aligned with the social needs. I'll give you another example. We are using augmented reality, 3D printing. 3D printers are very important. We are reducing the stocks in our warehouses because we are able to create a new spare part if we need it, thanks to a 3D printer. And moreover, we are using less products. So we are creating less CO2 pollution, CO2. And moreover, we are extending the life of our products. When they have a problem, thanks to 3D printers, we are able to fix the problems of many spare parts, extending the life of them. reducing CO2 to produce new spare parts, and reducing our costs. As you see, respecting the environment is fully aligned with cost savings. So sustainability is not a cost, it's a powerful way to extend the life of spare parts and of the whole company. Electric mobility. We are technical partner of Formula E and of Moto E, the most important sport activities in the world of cars and bikes, and electric cars and electric bikes. We are the technical partner. Why? Because we want to develop the most advanced technologies in the electric mobility, because electric mobility can solve a big problem of the humanity: pollution in cities. So we want to reduce emissions in the transportation industry, providing the most advanced technologies in the world. That's why we are not sponsors. We are tech partners. They have selected the best one, and we are very proud because they have selected us, ENEL. And I give you another example, very different. We operate in Argentina and in Brazil. In Brazil, there are favelas where million of poor people live. In Argentina, there are villas, more or less the same. Poor people live there. But in favelas, we couldn't enter, even if we distribute the energy in the favelas, we couldn't enter in the past, because a lot of people in the favela were stealing energy, getting direct connections using our poles, and they were connecting their homes directly to our electric poles, and they didn't want to allow us to enter in the favelas because they were scared by the fact that we could disconnect their houses with illegal connections. But on the other side, without having the chance to enter in the favelas, we couldn't solve problems in the grids, and we had to pay a lot of fees to the government, because they say if you didn't repair in 1 day, 5 days, 10 days, you had to pay this million of euros, million of pounds. We wanted to work with females. Those females in favelas, in many cases, have dead husbands. They have not enough money to survive. They need to be helped to make money. We help them creating many hundreds of different new chances for private entrepreneurship. We help them to buy products, to create shirts, t-shirts, to create handmade projects, and we help them, teaching them how to make business, putting them in connection with big companies, and helping them to find money to survive. Those women, thousands of women involved in these entrepreneurial projects, helped us to enter in favelas. Now we can enter in the favelas, repairing the poles. We have reduced the thefts of energy of more, in some cases, more of the 80%, thanks to their help. We helped them, they helped us. This is a win-win approach, not using the police, entering the favelas and using the violence, but helping people to survive, helping people to get money, helping people to create a better social and economic condition for themselves, helped us to be aligned, in contact, conquering the hearts of the people living in favelas, and reducing our costs for fines that we could get from the regulators. I give you another example, being aligned with the nature. We have a problem. We must cut the grass of our photovoltaic plants. And people who have ships have another problem. They must feed their ships. And unfortunately, they have to pay to feed their ships because owners of fields, they require for money to host ships and to feed them. So we had a problem, they had a problem. We say, hey, let's transform these two problems into an opportunity. We are hosting, this is a real picture of a plant that we have in the United States. We are hosting ships in our plants, allowing them to feed themselves and helping us to cut the grass. This is a very stupid idea, but amazing, that I really loved. It's a way to create value for us. It's a way to create value for them. And we are working on how to increase biodiversity in our plants, how to use this field to cultivate products that must be protected by the strength of the sun. So a lot of products, agricultural products, can be cultivated under our photovoltaic panels. And you see butterflies on our under our photovoltaic panels because they love some products that we are cultivating thanks to a lot of small companies that are working with us in our fields for free. They get the results of the cultivation, and we offer to them we host them in our plants. We are using also water of our big hydroelectric plants to help people to cultivate their fields. And what we are doing is to teach them on how to better cultivate their fields to improve the productivity of their activities. This is very important. If people, communities where you operate, love you, they will respect you. If you respect them and you empower them, they will love and respect you. And you will not be dependent on the specific politicians that now is leading. And in a democracy, at the opposite, the politicians will ask you to support them instead of asking you to support them, because the people will love you. The people will grow up thanks to you, and you respecting them, you will survive as a company that is using the natural resources of the countries where you operate. And we are using the sun, we are using the wind, we are using the water. I give you another example. We went to MIT asking them, is it possible to hybridize geothermal energy with photovoltaic and concentrated solar power in an effective way? Is it possible, summarizing, to use the energy of the sun, hybridizing it with the energy of the earth? And at the end of a study, the study length was more or less 6 months, MIT said no. They said it's impossible, but we did it. And we did it in the United States. Here you see a plant in Stillwater, Nevada, where there is the Top Gun base. If you have watched the movie Top Gun, is based in Stillwater. In Stillwater, there is the Top Gun base and this plant. Nothing else, more or less. And we have hybridized 33 megawatts of geothermal energy with 26 of photovoltaic, with 17 of concentrated solar power. And what happened? Happened that 1 + 1 + 1 made not 3, but 4. So we did it, increasing our efficiency, thanks to the technology that we have found. And the MIT said no, due to 3 reasons. The first one became a challenge, an open challenge. We have found a solution thanks to a startup from Israel. The second one became an internal challenge. We have found a solution thanks to a colleague. The third one was another challenge that appeared impossible. How to find, where to find a pump that was able to pump a so hot geothermal brine, 350 Celsius degrees, in a so hot day in the still water. And we found an entrepreneur that had this pump because he was developing it for other reasons, for other purposes. We involved him. He became the head of the operation and maintenance of this plant. And now he's a very important manager in the ENEL ecosystem. He's the country manager of South Africa. He's a former nuclear engineer in the US Army. And thanks to the ideas coming from outside, we were able to make possible what MIT said it was impossible. Is this technology? Is this innovation? Yes. Is this sustainability? Is this a way to better the world? Increasing the efficiency of geothermal and photovoltaic and concentrated solar energy? Yes. It's a way to have a more sustainable world, hybridizing renewable technologies to increase their efficiency and to reduce their costs. It always seems impossible until it's done, said Nelson Mandela. And we are doing this, trying to make innovation come true, solving problems of the world. We start from the SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, that are used by our strategy and our innovation department to create the strategic plan every year. We map the SDGs and we want to find solutions that can help the world to achieve the SDGs. And thanks to the SDGs that are our North Pole, we look at SDGs trying to understand what we can do to better the world and to create a more sustainable company in a more sustainable community where we operate for a more sustainable world. I end this very fast speech, and I'm sorry, I hope that you liked it and I didn't bother you, saying that in 2009, our actual CEO, Francesco Starace, became the CEO of a small startup called ENEL Green Power. The small startup had to manage only renewables and to make money with renewables. And everybody was saying to him, this is a way to assign you an impossible task, because making money with renewables in 2009 looked impossible. And he built up the startup as a startup, hiring young people, involving young people, assigning to them important roles, and betting on innovation that could reduce, that could lower the cost of renewables. What happened? After 5 years, ENEL Green Power was the global leader, the largest renewable player in the world. And Francesco Starace became the global CEO of the whole ENEL group. So the startup, the former small startup, conquered the whole big giants, more than 80 billion of revenues in the last year. And Francesco Starace was the former CEO of the startup. He became the CEO of the company. The former CFO became the CFO of the company. And many the former legal general counsel of the startup became the general counsel of the company. And I could continue. Many former managers of the startup took the lead of the big giant. I was a former startupper, serial startupper, and Francesco Starace asked me to join Innovation and Sustainability. I was very proud. I was very happy. But now I'm definitely more proud and more happy and happier for what we have done, making possible what a lot of people called impossible. And in 2014, according to our attitude to be sustainable, we canceled all the investments on new fossil fuels as we switched the 6 billion that we have found in the old strategic plan, we switched all of them on renewables. And after we increased the amount of investments on renewables and on electric grids, because we wanted to be the leader of the energy transition, not to suffer for this change, but to lead this change. People who want to avoid to suffer for the change, they must lead this change. And it's possible, even if for other people, it seems impossible. And after that, you have done it, people say, what you have done? It's clear that you had to invest on renewables. But if you look at the market cap of the other big, important utilities in UK, in Germany, in France, in Spain, in the last 5 years, they were still continuing investing in fossil fuels. And the market cap halved or more. Our market cap has doubled, more than doubled in the last 5 years. This is the concrete proof of evidence that if you invest on the future of the world, if you invest on something that is sustainable, the investors give you the right trust. We have increased of the 300%, of more than 300%, the percentage of social responsible investors in our market cap. And we doubled the market cap. These are financial indicators that demonstrate that if you take a look at non-financial indicators, respecting the environment, respecting the communities, respecting and valorizing the society, you will get the financial indicators too. But if you start taking a look only at the financial indicators, because in the next 6 months, you can get money from something that is not good for the humanity, unfortunately, for you, you are not sustainable, so you will die as a company. We want to continuously change ourselves to be every day more sustainable to survive, as our body does, changing the whole cells that we have every second. And every day we change more than 1 million of cells because we want to survive as person. Thanks.
Fantastic. Thank you, Ernesto. That was great. That was really great. So much to kind of continue to kind of ask a few questions on. I will call out to the audience. If you have any questions, please pop them in the Q&A and we can pass them on to Ernesto. I might start with one, if that's okay. I'll take on the role since I'm hosting. I really loved your example of the hybridized geothermal and solar plant. Because it kind of really brought to life for me the idea of open innovation in terms of the different places that you're getting these ideas from. So I just wanted to understand a little bit more about what you see is like, how have you done open innovation successfully? Like what's made ENEL do it right compared to other examples? And what's been challenging about trying to do open innovation? Because it's not an easy thing to do from the failures that we've seen in other places.
Thanks for your important question. First of all, how we have structured innovation. In every function, in every business line, in every market, there is a group of people working on the innovation of this function, of this business line, of this market. So many people, not few, many people working on how to innovate what the everyday people managing the business are doing. And they are in the business. They report to me and to the global head of that business line, of that function, of that market. So we are fully aligned. And there is not the innovation on a side. Innovation is embedded in the business, and in the everyday activity, they find challenges, technological challenges, social challenges, market challenges, or needs of the customers to be satisfied. So how do we operate? How do we manage open innovation? We collect the challenges and we transform these challenges into requests to startups, to the ecosystem where we operate with startups, to partners, technological or social partners, and to the crowd. We have a website called openinnovability.com. Thanks to this website, we have aggregated a community of 400,000 people from more than 100 countries. We have collected more than 3,000 proposals and ideas of projects, of innovation projects, or social projects. And thanks to them, we have implemented more than 100 projects. And this is a way, being embedded in the business, collecting real challenges important for the business people, transforming them into requests to the community of startuppers, to the community to the crowd, and to the community of partners, and also to our providers that are an important source of innovation for us. We launch challenges to the crowd thanks to Open Innovability. We launch challenges thanks to our network of innovation hubs. We have innovation hubs in Boston, San Francisco, Tel Aviv, Madrid, Moscow, Santiago del Chile, Rio de Janeiro, and we scout startups in UK, Northern Europe, and Central Europe, for example, in Germany every year, Austria, Switzerland, and we look for the best startups or the best NGOs in some cases that can solve our challenges, social and technological challenges. This is the way. So we couldn't hybridize the three technologies because the MIT say it's impossible. We started with the three reasons why for the MIT was impossible, transforming them into public challenges, into our ecosystems of startups, and in our website, collecting the solutions and implementing them. Being humble and being open is a way to find the solutions that otherwise you couldn't find in your company.
Yeah, I like your comment about being humble, because no one person has all the answers, so to speak. We've got so one of the theme for today's forum was around measuring what matters. So how measurement helps organizations be more sustainable. So a question's just come through about how you measure the success of open innovation. So are they only financial, or what types of non-financial measures do you have?
We measure all the process. So how many challenges we launch, how many ideas we collect, how many ideas we evaluate, and in which how much time we take to evaluate them, how many ideas we transform into POC, proof of concepts, how many proof of concept we transform, we manage with a success, how many proof of concepts successfully ended we transform and scale up into solutions that we use for the everyday activity, how many incremental revenues and margins, and how many costs we save, and a lot of non-financial indicators. What is the increase in terms of safety? What is the increase in terms of likability of people? What is the result in terms of loyalty of customers? What is the result in terms of appreciation of the analysts? So we have a lot of indicators that are not only financial indicators, that thanks to these indicators, we are able to measure the whole funnel, innovation and sustainability funnel. And I want to stress that it's very important to measure, because innovation, people think that innovation comes from an idea. And Edison said, innovation is 1% inspiration, 99% perspiration. You must work hard and hard to make things come true. When I was university professor, I codified a formula with another friend and colleague of mine, Ivan Ortensi. It's called INNO formula. Innovation is equal to 3 items to be multiplied: creativity, execution, and appeal. If you have an idea and the value of this idea is 10, and you multiply for a great execution, 10 plus 10 per 10 means 100. But nobody has an interest on this idea and on the product that comes from a great idea with a great execution. Unfortunately, 10 per 10 per 0 makes 0. So, the same happens when you have a great idea. Everybody is interested in this idea, but you are not able to implement it. 10 per 0 per 10 makes 0. So we must take care about the idea. We must nurture the creativity. And we have ENEL Idea Factory, led by a colleague of mine, Alessia Sterpetti, expert of how to nurture people's creativity. This is very important because thanks to the creativity, you can find solutions that you couldn't think about before. But creativity is not enough. You must structure your innovation to make ideas come true and to align your ideas even before that you start with the expectations, the needs of customers, employees, and other stakeholders, and to create a real value. And if you don't measure everything, unfortunately, you are not structured everything well. Measuring is very important, but measuring only the financial metrics, from my point of view, is treating our philosophy, our belief, because we don't want to create financial results in the short term. We want to create a way to have ENEL more sustainable in the long term. So you need not only financial results in long term, but you have to create a better way to operate for your employees, who are the heart of your activity, for your customers who pay for my fees. My real boss is the customer. The other boss is the colleague. Every colleague is a boss of mine. And our shareholder is another boss. And my CEO is the real leader of innovation and sustainability. This is the reason why we can have a sustainable and innovative company. This is very important. I'm making my best to make things come true and to establish a codified process that could be implemented in the energy industry, but also in many other industries. Before, I was a consultant on innovation. I founded a consulting company, as you said before. Ars et Inventio means methodology and intuition. The arts, hence in Latin, is the methodology. Inventio is the intuition. Because we must combine methodology and intuition. And every methodology needs figures, metrics, and not only economic ones.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Ernesto. I keep on getting struck by how much so there's also comments today on ESG and how there's been a focus in the past on the E, so environmental issues, but I've been struck on how much you've focused on the S today, which is the social, from the examples of the work you're doing in inclusion, to your comments about having a creative workforce that's happy and engaged. So just wondering how you and ENEL think about balancing the different types of I guess capital, so human, social, environmental, in how you think about your strategy and your innovation.
I want to share with you a different perspective. For me, even if we are focused on the environmental issues very clearly, we are the largest renewable company in the world, so it's clear that we are focused on providing renewables to the world, and we are focused on fighting against the climate change and against pollution. But I think, sharing with you a different perspective, that environmental issues are just a small part of the social issues. So if you consider social as the larger, the bigger category, environmental issues are in part of this. Social means everything. The social issues are related to the environment, are related to the poverty, are related to the education, are related to the safety of people, to the health of people. If we look at the present situation, at the diffusion of the pandemic, the environmental problem looks less important than the health problems. But unfortunately, they are related. And they have a common root. The common root is that the mankind is not respecting our house, our common house, as the Pope called the earth. And if you don't respect the common house, unfortunately, you fire a lot of foods and you create a lot of pollution, you create a lot of CO2, and animals escape from their original habitat. They invade other areas and they bring with themselves a lot of viruses. The COVID is just probably the first one that we know, but others will come if we don't respect the earth. So I think that the social issues in a wider sense are the most important. Also the governance. If you look at the governance, ESG, the governance, if you respect the social rules and if you act correctly, you have a right governance. So also the governance is a subcategory, from my point of view, as the environmental topics are a subcategory of the social topics.
Yeah, great. And I suppose that's that integrated thinking that we've been hearing about today. Not thinking one's more important than the other, but seeing them all as intertwined. So it looks like we've got a question come.
I could quote a famous philosopher, Hegel. He used the expression et, that in ancient Latin is and, opposed to the philosophy of Søren Kierkegaard, who used out, or. Now, we prefer at, integrating environmental, social, and governance topics into a wider one view that we could define with just a simple word, respect.
Yeah, great. Nice. I like that. So this is a question's just come through from the crowd. It's a bit more of a technical question. So if you can answer this, please do. If not, we can maybe take it back for another question. But it's, do you already apply the EU taxonomy within your reporting? So thinking about your corporate reporting and how you go about that.
We applied the GRI taxonomy with ESG using the GRI matrix since 2014. So when the European authorities say, hey, you have to adopt this, we were not scared as other companies all around Europe, because we were used to do this. But this is very important for us. We don't do this because it's mandatory. We do this because it's useful. Because we want to know what we are doing. We want to do, as we want to know how much energy we are producing and what are our revenues or our EBITDA or our margins. We want to know them. It's normal, no? So we want to know what are the impact of the non-financial impacts that we are producing on the communities where we operate. And we have implemented, I think, a unique system that is able to monitor what is material for us at the level of a single plant. And we aggregate at the level of single country. And after we aggregate at the level of single continent. And after at the global level of ENEL. But we start with nuclear data that is very important, because we know what is important for the single community in the single plant that we have in the single isolated area in the middle of Mexico, where we have a community of 300 people. But we must know at global level, we share all this information, because we must be aligned as we share the financial information. Because if we don't take a look at this, unfortunately, you will lose money and you will not understand why you are losing money. As it happened to some big energy companies that were investing in new fossil plants, and that a couple of years ago perceived that they will not hand these pharaonic big projects because they are outdated. They didn't understand before. And now they have big problems with their sustainability in a wider sense, with their financial sustainability too. And that's why I give you an example. We had the permit to build up a giant hydroelectric plant using a river that is considered sacred. So a sacred river for some indigenous people living in Colombia and in Chile, in two different areas. The same river, two rivers, but with the same situation. Sacred river, a permit to build up a plant, and we could start working. We could say to the army, Colombian and Chilean army, please protect our infrastructure. It's very important for the government. It's very important to provide energy to Chile and Colombia, please protect us. We didn't. We prefer to say to the government, hey, we want to give you back the permit. We will not build up the big infrastructure, the big plant, the 2 big plants, but please allow us to involve communities, explaining to them that we are not going to use their sacred river. Please allow us to implement many renewable plants based on photovoltaic panels. So we will help, we will teach those communities, we will use those communities to implement the plant, to maintain the plant, and to dismantle the plant after 20 years or 15 years to substitute with new plant, with new solar panels. And what happened? They say, okay, we told to the communities, we say, we could implement 2 big hydroelectric plants using the water coming from the sacred river. But we know that could be not respectful for your beliefs. So we asked the government to involve you in building up new photovoltaic plants, and thanks to their help, we did, saving a lot of money, because sending people to these areas, skilled people, could be very expensive, but teaching people living around that area could be very cheap for us, and it created a new source of revenues for those people. We built up schools for them, and now they have a work, and they have better perspective for a better future for their children. So they love us. And this is another concrete example.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's that's a really good example of creating shared values, so to speak. So you're actually a part of this conference as someone from that movement, the Creating Shared Value movement. And over the last 2 days, the Economics and Mutuality team have been presenting an ecosystem map about all the different people who are operating in this space. So there's time for one more question. There's only a couple of minutes left of this webinar. So I just wanted to get your perspective on the value of being involved in the Shared Value Initiative, why those movements, why you think they're important, and what you see kind of the future directions of those types of movements like the Shared Value movement that you've been a great contributor to.
It's very important to be involved in this movement for at least 2 reasons. First of all, because they were teaching us what we were doing. In some cases, you need someone else outside that can explain to you what you are doing, that can codify to you what you are doing. And you didn't know that you were doing a creative shared value, that you had already married a creative shared value approach, adopted this approach. They explained to us, they clarified to us a lot of tools that in some cases we were not using, in some other cases we were using, not be aware that we were using that kind of tools. So they teach us a lot. So we learned a lot talking to Professor Kramer, Professor Porter, and the other ones, and talking to the other companies that were joining the same movement. Professors, managers, communities were collected into this movement, and for us it was a great opportunity to learn with humility. And I want to underline this concept. The second reason is that we found partners. If we talk about an ecosystem, we must admit that we are not the leader of the ecosystem. In many cases, we are the follower. We are just part of the ecosystem. And thanks to this approach, we could find the right partners in the right ways, in the right areas, geographical areas where we operate. And we found partners in Africa that who helped us to start up new activities in the countries where we didn't operate in the past, such as Ethiopia. before we found partners for sustainability and after we started our business. So it's some company think, okay, I act the business and when I create problems, after I found partners to solve problems. No, we think that we must avoid to create problems. We must create shared value with a win-win approach. So before approving, this is another important concept, before approving every investment at ENEL Group, we must prepare a plan to make this investment more sustainable for communities where we operate. And in the budget that we discuss at the investment committee of the group, in which obviously I'm involved, and it's an honor for me to be involved in this very important committee that decides about all the investments of the company, all the important investments of the company, we must have created a sustainable plan for the single sustainable investment, and we must be sure that this investment is really sustainable. If the investment is not sustainable, I can say no. And it doesn't matter if the financial indexes are okay, because I have this right with the CEO to say no if I can demonstrate that an investment is not sustainable. It could be not sustainable because the technology will kill this investment, as it happened with the new planned investment in new fossil fuels. Or it could be that this is not viable because the social conditions are not sustainable. So if I can demonstrate it, we can cancel the investment. And it happened several times.
Great. That's a great way to end. I think it touches on a number of the themes that have been talked about, whether it's ecosystems, community engagement, getting all aspects of the environmental, social governance together in an integrated way. So once again, thank you, Ernesto, for your time today. Thank you to everyone who has joined the webinar today as well. I would like to say that we are, so the Economics of Mutuality team and the Saïd Business School are writing a case study about ENEL and some of the things we talked about today. So if you are interested in learning about more, please reach out to the team. And then I'll finish there with one more thank you to Ernesto. So thank you, and thank you everyone for joining us.
Thank you to you, and it's an honor to be studied by Oxford University. It's an honor for me being here, and thanks to you and everybody for having listened to us. Ciao.
Ciao, thank you.